We try to learn today about the timer, Shaon Shabbat, what you put on Shabbat in order to turn on and off the appliances. Sometimes you need that for air conditioning, sometimes you need this for other appliances at the house. And the question comes always with what are you supposed to do when on Shabbat you need the timer to be extended to a longer time, or when you don't want it to be that long and you want to make it shorter. For instance, you have the air conditioner, and the air conditioner is blowing pretty nicely in the house, and you're afraid if it's going to turn off in another hour, let's say, the way you got it on the timer, it's going to get hot in the house. So therefore you want to push it to be another 2 hours, 3 hours. Can you take those chips over here and put them to a later time? Or, let's say, you have the air conditioner blowing up to 2 o'clock and it's cold in the house. And therefore you want to put the timer to get off and to turn off the appliance or the air conditioner at 1 o'clock. Can you do that? So let's see. The halakha is as follows, according to most opinions. Timers, in general, can be used on Shabbat. Although, Moshe Feinstein says not, except lights, you shouldn't use timers on Shabbat, because he says if it would be a timer in the time of Chazal, they would restrict that as well, just like they restricted Amira le'akum. Just like they restricted telling a goy to do for you something on Shabbat, this shouldn't be any different because it takes away from the Shabbat. But most of the poskim, almost all of them, agreed that that timer is fine and one is allowed to use it, as long as you're not using it for something that makes a lot of noise, something that makes a big production of things. Like, for instance, you have a factory and you want to use the factory on Shabbat, although there's not going to be any men working there, but you'll have everything on timers. That's asur. That's like ziluta de Shabbat. That's not fit for the Shabbat. But for the house usage, you need things around the house, all kind of appliances, that's fine. So therefore, you can set that timer before Shabbat. But let's say you set it before Shabbat and you need to change things on the timer on Shabbat. Are you allowed to do that? So let's see how it works. This is, usually the red is the off button, and the green is the on button. So when you need to change, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and so does most of the poskim, say that one is allowed to extend the time of whatever the air conditioner is right now, whether it's off, you can extend it to be off longer. If it's on, you can extend it to be longer. But you shouldn't bring it closer. So let's say you have the timer right now on off, and this is the off button or chip. You can push it to be longer at the, and the air conditioner would shut off at a later time. That's fine. The problem is, when you do that, when you take it from here to here, you took it out, and by this time already you dismantled it. Now it's going to keep on going, and it's not going to shut off at all. So by taking it off right now, the timer is going to keep on going. So what do? How could you take this chip off and put it on a later time, when actually by the second you took it off, right now it's going to keep on going? You didn't extend the time, because extending would mean that you just pushed it to a later time. But once you took it off, it's going to keep on going. And now putting it is like taking a chip that's on a regular timer that doesn't have anything and just placing it there. That's asur. You're not allowed to bring it closer. If you're not allowed to bring it closer, you're not allowed to shut off the air conditioner closer. As we explained, you can only extend. So therefore, by taking it off and putting it later, you're also not only extending, but at that time you're putting it on, you're right now shutting it off at a certain time that you decided. So the solution to that is to use the second chip. Normally, those timers comes with 2 chips on and off. So therefore, when you take the second one and put it on a later time, now you can safely take all the chip that you had on, and the timer will be working on a later time. Same thing with the on button. When you have the on button, right now, let's say the air conditioner is off, but it's going to go on in another hour. So by taking it off and putting it on a later time, the problem is the same, that once you took it off, it's going to keep on going on shut off, which means the air conditioner is not going to go on, the timer is not going to give the order for the appliances to go on, and therefore what you need to do is the same technique. You take the second one, put it where you need, and now you take the old one off, and everything is fine. So again, making it wherever the status quo is now, pushing it for a later time, that is fine. Why is that? This is considered the same as, let's say you have a candle in the house, and the door of the house is open, and you see that a wind is coming, a very strong wind, and it's going to blow off the candle in the house. So you're allowed to shut off the door. The halacha says that that's mutar, that's allowed, that's fine. So therefore, not letting the timer shut off at a certain time, rather pushing it, is the same as shutting off the door and not letting the candle be shut off and extinguished by the wind. Same thing is here. It should get shut off at a certain time. You're just not letting it. You're not letting it by pushing it to a later time. That is fine. But bringing something to a closer time, let's say it's supposed to go on at 3 o'clock, and you want to bring it that it should be now 1 o'clock. You want the air conditioner to work earlier, that's asur. The reason it's asur is because you're causing things to happen quicker. Same thing by shutting off. Let's say it's supposed to shut off at 3 o'clock, and now you put it on 1 o'clock, that's asur. You made it shut off earlier. This is equivalent, says Rav Shlomo Zalman, to a person that has, let's say, candle over here, and is throwing water on this side, letting the water go and extinguish the candle. Although right now when you put the water in here, it's going to take it some time. Let's say there's a distance. It's going to take it some time to get to the candle, but since the act that he made right now, it's a beginning of the extinguishing the candle. It's going towards it. It's like sending an arrow. Although right now the arrow didn't reach the destination, but it's on the way. That's also asur. Sending an arrow that's going to violate the Shabbat, that's asur. Splashing water or putting water in a place that's going to reach eventually the candle or whatever's there and extinguish it, that's davar asur, that's forbidden. Same thing would be over here. If you are bringing the timer closer, you are actually starting it closer. Why is that? Because the timer constantly moves all the time, and therefore, although it's going to get to it eventually, but bringing it closer, you just made the thing come closer to you by bringing it closer, and therefore that's something that one is not allowed to do. Now the question would be, although we said you're allowed to push it to a later time and not bring the chips closer to extinguish or to start earlier time, but are those chips muktzeh or not? That's also a discussion in the poskim. If it's muktzeh, how could you take it off and put it back? So the answer to that, many of the poskim say that it's not muktzeh. This is how Rav Shlomo Zalman says, Chacham Ovadia said, that the reason it's not muktzeh, either because this is meant for that constantly to be changed, and if you're allowed to change it to a later time, so it's also not muktzeh, because whatever is allowed to be done on Shabbat, you're allowed, that renders it to be not muktzeh. Or because the thing is considered for that aspect a grama, and grama for such a thing, it doesn't make it into a muktzeh. So we have over here the dinim of a timer. One should take that timer and learn it very well, because not every timer works the same way like this timer that I'm showing right here. Some have different techniques. Some timers are not mechanical like this. Some of them are digital or electric, and that's definitely not something that's allowed. Second question is, once the timer is off, and right now the air conditioner is off, can one go to the air conditioner and shut it off? Or one should go to the timer and put it on a low, from high to low, or from low to high, because right now the air conditioner is off. So if it's off, what should be the problem? It's just going to turn on in another hour. So can I adjust it right now to whatever I want, knowing that when it starts, it's going to start on the temperature that I want, on the speed that I want, or shut it off completely, or start it. But right now, everything is off. Can one do such a thing? Also that, in Shmiras Shabbat Kilchatai brings from Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, that one is allowed to do only to lower the temperature, let's say from 9 to 7. By doing that, you lowering the time that it's going to blow the cold air, or from high to low, high to medium. That's fine, because you're lowering. Lowering would be allowed. He does not allow, though, to make it higher. Higher, making it higher is like adding more oil into the candle. You have over here a candle with oil, and you have a wick that's lighting the oil. The halakha doesn't allow you to add oil into that. Also taking off oil, that's also asur. But when it's extinguished, like we're talking about right now, it's not working as we're talking about right now. It's right now off. So putting more oil, knowing that it's going to burn longer, that's davar asur. But taking off from that time by taking the button of the high, putting it into medium or low, or taking the 9 and putting it into 7, that would be okay.